Ladies and bald men, Andy here, author of the best Tinder guide on the internet. This is Bald Man Dating. Let's fucking go. Let's jump straight into it. So there's a question that I found over on a dating advice subreddit. And this guy has some insecurities and he's worried about being rejected for being bald. So I thought what we'd do is we'd go through, I'm going to react to his, question. I'm going to give some advice. I'm going to be as gentle as I can, but I'm also going to give some very sort of blunt and hopefully helpful advice here, because I know that a lot of bald dudes or guys with receding hairlines can feel, a lot of insecurity, a lot of fear, a lot of worry, and I see a lot of avoidance of rejection, or like avoidance of this, or giving into this fear of rejection. How do I avoid getting rejected? The question is, how do I get over the fear of being rejected for being bald? And the answer is the same way that you the same way that you fix any other fear in life, by embracing it, by moving towards it, by working through it, by going in and giving yourself some exposure to the thing that you're afraid of. The answer is not to sit there and run from it, or to sit there and try and just magically get over it. No. Like, if you have a fear of something, how do we fix it? We get in there and we do it. If you're scared of swimming, the only way you're ever going to be able to swim is by jumping in the water. If you have a fear of, if you have a fear of public speaking, what is the only way that you get over the fear? By doing public speaking. I think we understand this concept, but for some reason with dating, I see a lot of guys that sit there and say, how can I just get over the fear and magically feel better? And it's like, well, I'm sorry, but the answer is you have to go on some dates. You have to interact with some women. You have to actually put yourself out there into the dating landscape, the dating marketplace, and then you will get over the fear. There isn't a magic pill you can take. There's some advice I can give you, and there's some advice that other people can give you, but the way you get over fear of being rejected is by just going out there and ironically getting rejected a little bit. So I'm going to read out what this guy has written, and I'll kind of react to it as I go along. So this guy said, I shaved my head a month ago, and now I'm staying with the shaved. Look, welcome to the club, brother. The thing is that I'm not really happy with the fact that I'm bald. Okay, so let's dig into that right there and then. So the thing is, I'm not really happy with the fact that I'm bald. Is that something that you can change? If it is, change it. If it isn't, embrace it. Why would you sit there and say, I'm not happy with the fact that I'm bald, but I am bald? You are literally upset with reality. You're upset with the way things are. You may as well get pissed off that the sun is shining or the sun is hot. You may as well get pissed off that in winter it rains a lot. And to be fair, a lot of people do fucking get pissed off at that. And you're just making yourself miserable. Why would you sit there and get angry at reality? Reality is the way that it is. You are bald. Get over it. You're bald. And I understand the insecurity. I understand the fear. I myself had a lot of terror and fear when my hairline was really receding, and I thought, like, should I shave it? Oh my God, what if women don't like me? What if, no one likes me? I had all those same fears. But to sit there and say, I'm not happy with the fact that I'm bald, you're just angry at reality. Reality is the way that it is. You are bald. Why would you get upset about that? You can't change it. So I'll keep reading. To look good bald, you need to have a symmetrical square face and a good head shape. Is that true? Is that true? This guy has just drawn a line in the sand and said, the only way I can look good is if I have a symmetrical square face and a good head shape. Is that even true? No. You've just invented some fucking lie of the only way that anyone ever looks good is if they have a square symmetrical face and a good head shape. And I don't have that, so therefore I'm ugly forever and I'll never look good. Are you fucking kidding me? Go to the gym and add a ton of muscle and then you'll look good. Dress way better and then you'll look good. Lose weight so you look super lean, so your face looks better and you have a stronger jawline, and then you'll look better. Gain more confidence, and that's just a skill that you learn through practice. Confidence is sexy. Confidence is appealing. Women love confidence. Have a bunch of cool hobbies and cool sports that you play, or give back to your community. Just be an interesting human being, a cool, interesting human being. That's attractive. That's really fucking sexy. Be a really generous, good, kind-hearted person, a kind-hearted man who's there for other people, who's loyal, who's very, has strong male friendships and strong female friendships. That's attractive. That's sexy. That's appealing. Be rich. Being rich is another way that you can be very fucking sexy. So to just draw a line in the sand and say, the only way you can look good bald is if you have a symmetrical square face and a good head shape. And I've just invented that. I've pulled that out of my ass. By my own admission, I don't get very many women at this point in time. And I'm not an expert at dating. But let me just say, as an expert, the only way you look good bald is if you have a symmetrical square face. You don't know anything. A little bit of humility goes a long way here. Admit that you don't know, because you're not an expert at getting laid. You're not an expert at getting women. You're not an expert at any of this stuff. You're not an expert at dating. Why would you sit there and say the only way you can look good, bald? No, you don't know jack shit. So a little bit of humility goes a long way here. But there are a million different ways to be attractive to the opposite gender. And having a square face and a good head shape is like one fucking thing that you've just decided, I don't have this, therefore it's never going to work for me. And I see this a lot when someone has some quality of themselves or some flaw, so to speak, or some part of themselves that they don't really like maybe they're bald, maybe they're short, maybe they're this, maybe they're that, whatever it is, maybe they're fat. And they will say, this one trait that I have overrides everything else. And because I have this one flaw or this one weakness or this one part of myself that I don't really like, then it's fucked. And I can't get any women. I'm never going to be able to get any dates. I may as well give up. I'll throw in the towel. There's no point trying. And it's like, that's one trait. I'm bald. Obviously, you can see that on the camera right now. To just say like, oh, therefore like no woman would ever like me because I'm bald. Jesus, what a ridiculous statement. What an utterly ridiculous statement. There are so many other things that you have going for you. And so if you are someone who finds yourself in this position, maybe you're a bald guy listening to this, maybe you're this guy, and you're listening to this and you're thinking, yeah, but like the bald thing just makes me feel really insecure. And I don't feel like I have a lot to offer the opposite gender, which is essentially what you're saying. When you're saying I'm bald, therefore no woman would like me, I'm going to get rejected, I'm ugly, blah, blah, blah. You're basically saying I have nothing else to offer the opposite gender. So what I would suggest you sit down and do is get a big piece of paper out and write down 50 things about yourself that are likable. 50 positive qualities that you have. If you struggle to get 50, go and ask your friends, go and ask your family and say, hey, can you give me a couple of things that you think are likable about me? Or what would people like about me? Or what are some positive qualities that you think I have? Write down a big fucking list of 50 things, get it all on paper, have it all there. And then what I want you to do is go through each one and sort of meditate on it. Think about it, spend at least 15 minutes on each one. This will take you a couple of days or weeks. Really think about every single one of the things that you've written on that list and let it sort of percolate in your brain. Let it internalize each one of those things. And what you're going to see is, oh shit, yes, I'm bald. Not that I even think that's a bad thing, but if you think that's a bad thing, fine. Plenty of women like bald guys, but fine. If you just decide that being bald is a bad thing, fine. There's one flaw that I have, but here's 50 things that I have that are going for me. 50 positive qualities. 50 things I have to offer the opposite gender. And that's really what dating is. Dating is you offering something to the opposite gender, men and women. Like you're offering something to someone else. The only reason someone would date you is if you have something to offer. Maybe you're interesting, maybe you're attractive, maybe you're sexy, maybe you're rich, maybe you're cool, maybe you're just a generous, nice person, maybe you're very loyal, maybe a combination of those things, right? Maybe you're funny. There's a million different things that we have to offer the opposite gender. And dating is you just offering. It's an expression of self. It's you giving something to the opposite gender or the other person. Or I've probably just excluded a bunch of like same-sex people here, but whatever. Like you guys get what I mean. The person that you're dating, you know what I mean? You have something to offer, something to give. And if you're sitting there saying, I'm bald, therefore I have nothing to offer, that just isn't true. That's such a shallow way of looking at yourself, to just look at the very top, literally the very top. You cannot get more shallow than this. This is like what? Like fucking 5 centimeters of your entire length as a human being. You're looking at the top 5 centimeters and saying, well, there's no hair there, therefore I have nothing left to offer. What about all the rest of this? What about your brain? What about your soul, your heart, your dick, your hands, your intelligence, your wisdom, your confidence? If you're not confident, that's fine. You can just improve that over time with practice. A million different things to offer. Even just being a decent person, that's something to offer. Being nice to be around is a decent offering. All of that you're just throwing out and saying, yeah, but I don't have a symmetrical square face and a good head shape and I'm bald. It's like, okay, cool. You don't have those things. Sure. What else do you have? Is that it? Do you just throw in the towel because you don't have those things? I'm bald and I don't have a good head shape, so I'm throwing in the towel and I'm giving up. I'm quitting. I'm quitting at the first hurdle. I have nothing to offer women. I have nothing that I could ever give. I have no intrinsic qualities. I have nothing that I could entertain them with or that could make them think like, gee, this is a cool guy. I like this guy. Like none of that. I'm not even a nice person. I'm not even interesting to be around. I'm not even just a decent human being. None of that. I'm just a piece of shit with nothing to offer. But if I magically had hair, and here's the other thing to think about. If you believe, and this is sort of the statement or the thing that we can infer, if you believe that you have nothing to offer, right, which is kind of what you're saying here. You're saying women are going to reject me because I'm bald, so I have nothing else to offer. They won't even look past my hair or my lack of hair. They'll just reject me immediately, which isn't true, by the way. Women, for the most part, don't give a fuck if you're bald. Some women won't like you for being bald, sure. Plenty of women will, and plenty of women will actually fetishize the fact that you're bald. It's attractive to them. It shows confidence. It shows that you don't give a fuck. Shaving your head has kind of like the same sort of vibe of like tattoos. It's kind of like, oh, this guy doesn't give a fuck, especially if you're young and you shave your head. I'm 35. And shaving my head, was probably the best thing that I ever did for my attractiveness because I had a horrible receding hairline. It was really bad. It made me look really old. But anyway, we're not talking about me. We're talking about this guy. But if you truly believe that you have nothing else to offer apart from, like you have nothing else to offer, do you really think having hair is enough to keep women interested, to have women in your life? Do you really think that? Do you think you just magically have hair and now you're an interesting person, you're cool, you're fun to be around, you're confident, you're interesting? Like, no. Why would having hair change any of that stuff? You're still going to be the exact same person. You now just have hair. You don't become a fucking sex god or a confident, funny, amazing human being just because you have hair. Now, you think you will. This guy will tell himself stories, and plenty of bald guys will tell themselves stories of, if I just had hair, I'd be super confident. No, you wouldn't. You would just invent some other bullshit reason to be insecure. This guy, before he shaved his head, was really insecure about his receding hairline, right? And he told himself at some point, if I shave my head, I will feel better. He shaved his head, and guess what? He didn't feel better. Then he just moved the goalposts and said, oh, but I don't have a symmetrical square face, and that's why I'm not confident. No, you're not confident to begin with, and you are looking for external reasons to blame for your lack of confidence. The insecurity or the nervousness or the fear of being rejected comes first. That was always there. That was always present. And if we would just magically give this guy hair, he wouldn't go outside and start talking to a bunch of women. Believe me, I have done dating coaching for long enough at this point. If you guys don't know me, you might only know me from this channel. I have a separate channel called Kill Your Inner Loser. So you're welcome to go and watch that. I have done hundreds of videos at this point. I have a website, a blog with about 1,000 articles at this point. So I've been doing this for years. And the number of people that I've seen that blame an external thing for their lack of confidence, like maybe it's I don't have enough muscle, or I'm fat, or I am bald, I have a bad hairline or something like that. They will fix that thing. They'll get a bunch of muscle. They'll go to the gym for a year or two and gain a bunch of muscle, or they'll lose all the fat, or they'll shave their head. Or I've even worked with people that have gotten a hair transplant to fix their fucking hairline. And then they go, sweet, as soon as it heals and it's all good and it starts growing out, I'm going to be super confident. Guess what happens? A couple of months pass, the hair grows out, their hair looks amazing, they look fucking great. And then guess what? It comes time to, hey, you got to go on Tinder now, or you have to go outside and say hello to some women, or you have to go to a bar and put yourself out there, or you have to make some friends and actually start getting out there and putting yourself into the dating world. It comes, when push comes to shove and it's crunch time and it's time to actually do that, they make another fucking excuse. Why? Because it can be nerve-wracking going outside and talking to women. It can be nerve-wracking putting yourself into the dating market. And when it comes time for them actually to do that, and that fear rises up and that anxiety and that insecurity, then they go, fuck, it's time to shit or get off the pot. Oh my God, I have to go out and talk to women. I don't have enough muscle yet. I need to add more muscle. And they'll make another fucking excuse. And then they will gain more muscle, and then they'll go, my clothes aren't good enough. I need to dress better. And so they will spend a month fucking around and getting better threads and, wearing some accessories, getting a nice watch, getting some rings, all of that shit. And then it comes time to go outside and talk to women now, or to go to a bar or something. I think I'm fat. I think I need to lose a bit more weight and be leaner. And they will do this fucking game for forever. You even see it really, on a really extreme level with guys that get into pickup artistry, guys that get into pickup artist stuff, right? They will sit there and they'll go, I got to learn the perfect pickup lines to talk to women. I have to know exactly what to say in every situation. And if she says this, I have to say this. And if she says this, then I have to say that. And I got to, do all these fucking techniques and all these weird like pickup artist things. And you just delay actually putting yourself into the dating market and actually getting out there because you're scared. And it's okay to be scared. I was terrified at the start. Most people are pretty fucking terrified to put themselves into the dating market. It can be scary at the start. You don't know what's going to happen. You have fears of getting rejected like this guy does. But what this guy is doing, and what I see a lot of people doing, is they feel that fear of rejection, which is there in most of us at the start. It is. We're all afraid of being rejected. We're afraid of having our heart broken. We're afraid of all of, the vulnerability and stuff like that. We're afraid of being honest. We're afraid of all of that shit. Afraid of being judged. You feel those fears and those insecurities, and then you just go like, oh, fuck, it must be because I'm bold. If I just wasn't bold, then I would magically feel confident. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. You wouldn't. You'd still feel the same fear, the same insecurity, the same doubts. You'd feel all of that, and you would just blame something else. If we could magically give this guy hair, and any of you listening who are bald or your hairline is receding or you're not happy with your hair or you're not happy with your height or something else, even if we fix that, if we could magically fix that, which some of this stuff does have solutions, you can get a hair transplant and then you have great hair. You can do what I've done and shave it off and you look fucking great. There's a lot of solutions to a lot of these things, but I see time and time again that someone will solve the problem. The fear will still be there because dating itself can be scary at the start. The fear's still there, and then they just blame something else and they move the goalposts and they come up with another excuse or another limiting belief to not go out there and put themselves out there and take some risks. At the start, putting yourself into the dating market, whether you're a man or a woman, it takes some risk. It takes some vulnerability. It can be scary. You have to kind of jump off the cliff and say, gee whiz, I hope that these people don't judge me. I hope that they're nice to me. I hope that they don't treat me like shit. I hope that no one tells me that I'm not worthwhile. I hope that no one tells me I'm an ugly piece of shit. I'm worried about that. Men and women worry about that stuff. You worry that someone might break your heart. You worry that someone might just sleep with you once and then never call you again. You worry about flaking. You worry about ghosting. You worry about getting attached to someone and really liking them, but maybe they don't like you back and then you look like an idiot. People have all these sort of fears. I did at the start. It took me a long time to get over them, but the answer is exposure therapy. The answer is to just dive in there, have your heart broken a couple of times, take some risks, be vulnerable, be as honest as you possibly can. Take those risks and see what happens. But if you're sitting there and saying, my hairline isn't good, my face isn't symmetrical, I don't have a square face, my head shape isn't good, it's Andy, it's easy for you to say that you look pretty good bald and I don't. You're just making excuses. I have my own flaws. We all have our own flaws. Every single one of us does. When I started this journey, 6 or 7 years ago, when I was in my late 20s, I was morbidly obese. I was very depressed, ridiculously depressed. I'd been suicidal for about 10 years. I had all sorts of fucked up issues. I'd been in toxic, abusive relationships. My self-esteem was like on the floor. I had zero friends. I had never been to the gym. I couldn't do a push-up or a pull-up or a chin-up or anything like that. I couldn't do a sit-up. I was, weak and unhappy and miserable, zero friends, all of that stuff. I've talked about that many times. You can go over to my other channel. So search for Kill Your Inner Loser. Just search for the word depression. Search for Kill Your Inner Loser Depression. I have my full fucking story of depression and how I overcame it. I've been there. I understand the fears and the insecurities at the start, but the way that you work through any of this stuff is exposure therapy. And if you sit there and say, I have some flaws, therefore I shouldn't try. Guys, I have flaws. I had so many fucking flaws at the start as well. I fixed what I could. The stuff that I couldn't fix, I just embraced and said, hey, this is part of who I am. You know what I mean? I'm bald. My hairline sucks. Cool, I'm bald. I was very insecure about it. I've talked about this on this channel in previous videos. I was so insecure about my hairline. You have no idea. I was terrified that women I would wear a beanie or a hat all the time, And then when I would take it off, when I would get into the bedroom, I was literally shaking. There were times I would have sex with a woman and not take my beanie or my hat off. I would be naked wearing a beanie. Think how ridiculous that looks. And plenty of them would say like, hey, how come you've got your beanie on? And I'd make some joke because I was too insecure to admit the truth. And finally, after I'd slept with them a couple of times, I'd take my beanie off and I'd be like, oh my God, she's going to hate me. I would go into the bathroom and take my beanie off and perfectly try and comb my hair and make it all perfect and put some gel in it and just try and cover the fucking receding hairline. My hairline was really badly receding, and I'd try and cover it up, and then I'd go into the bedroom and I'd be waiting for her to say like, oh, you're ugly and bald. Like, look at your stupid fucking hair. I was so terrified every time. Most of the girls were really nice. One or two said like, oh, you're kind of like bald. And I'd be like, yeah. And I was so terrified and that was it. They'd just be like, oh, you're kind of bald. And I'd be like, yeah. And then they'd just keep seeing me. They didn't really care that much. So all of the fears that I had, most of them didn't come true. Like, no woman was ever mean to me. I had a couple of women say like, oh, sorry, I don't really like bald guys. And I was like, at first that kind of hurt. But at some point, again, the only way you get over the fear of being rejected is to get rejected. And I promise you that most women are really, really, really nice. They are genuinely sweet, lovely human beings who are not there trying to ruin your fucking life or ruin your self-esteem or hurt you. Most women would never want to hurt you. They don't want you to feel insecure. They don't want you to have a fear of rejection. And guess what? They have a fear of rejection too. I can talk about that. This guy hasn't really talked about that. He's so worried about women rejecting him. He's not being honest with himself. He rejects women all the time. All the time. He doesn't sleep with every single woman who's interested in him, nor would you want him to. People have preferences and likes and dislikes, and we don't like every single person that we come into contact with. You can't. And so people aren't rejecting you. They just don't want to sleep. Not everyone wants to sleep with you. And so to even view it as a rejection is you taking it personally. When you look at a woman or whoever you're attracted to, when you look at someone that you're attracted to and you don't want to sleep with them, you don't reject them, do you? You're not like, oh, I fucking reject her. No, it's just like, oh, I don't want to sleep with her. That's it. Like, you don't even think about it. There's not even a thought there. It's just like, oh, I don't want to sleep with her. It's like if I said to you, do you want to have pizza tonight? And if you're not in the mood for pizza, you're not like, I reject pizza. Pizza sucks. Fuck pizza. Pizza's self-esteem should be lowered. Pizza deserves to die. Pizza is ugly and shit. No, none of that. You're not rejecting pizza. You're just like, oh, I don't really feel like pizza tonight. How about we have like pasta? That's it. It's not a rejection. And so if a woman doesn't want to sleep with you, she's not sitting there going, it's because you're bald, you're ugly, you don't deserve anyone, you don't deserve any fucking affection or sex or intimacy or love or relationships, you're disgusting, you shouldn't exist. No, it's none of that. She's just like, oh, no, I'm not feeling super attracted, so no thank you. Like, that's it. That's it. That's the whole fucking thing. It's not even a rejection. She's not rejecting you as a human being, which is what this guy and a lot of people take any rejection as like a rejection of themselves. No, it's not a rejection of you. It's a rejection of your offer. You offered, would you like to sleep with me? Or would you like to grab a drink with me? Or would you like to go on a date with me? Or would you like to be in a relationship with me? Whatever you've offered something. Would you like to go and have a drink with me? She's turned that down. She doesn't want to have a drink with you, or she doesn't want to sleep with you, or she doesn't want to date you. She's not turning you as a human being down. She's not saying you are invalid. You don't count. You are an ugly piece of shit. She's not saying any of that. That would be a rejection of you. That would be being rejected. She has turned down your offer. Anyone who does sales will understand this concept. If you've ever done sales or if you have your own business, I have my own coaching business, not every single person that you reach out to wants to work with you. They don't. But you don't take it as a rejection. You don't sit there and go, oh my God, I got rejected. I must be a bad coach, or I must be a bad salesman. I got rejected. No, they just didn't want my offer. They didn't want what I was offering. I'm offering coaching. They don't need coaching right now, or they don't have the money for it, or they're just not interested, or they're fine without coaching. They don't need it. They're saying, no, thank you. It's like when you walk. How many of you have supermarkets or grocery stores where there's someone there that will hand out like little free samples of something? Maybe it's like yogurt or little bits of salami or cheese or something. Plenty of grocery stores have this. They'll give you a little free sample of something. I walk past those all the time and they'll say, hey, do you want to try our free cheese? And I'm like, hey, no, thank you. Did I reject them? Was that a rejection? Would you guys call that a rejection? Would you say like, oh my God, like he turned her down, that poor woman, she's been rejected, like, fuck man, that's so awful, and it's probably because she's fucking, too short or some other reason, or, she's a blonde and he doesn't like blondes, man, she got rejected. No, you'd just say, oh, he doesn't want cheese. He's not interested. He's not hungry. That's what you'd say. But for some reason with dating, it's so easy, or people get into these, they tell themselves these stories. They believe these narratives of like, I'm being rejected. It's all about me. She's turning me down. And it's because I'm bold. It's like, no, maybe she's got a boyfriend. Maybe she just doesn't feel like dating right now. Maybe she's a lesbian and she's not interested in men. Maybe you just don't look like her type and it's not your bold. It's like she likes big muscle men, or she likes skinny guys, or she likes short guys, or she likes tall guys, or she likes guys with a soft voice, or she likes guys with long hair. She likes something that isn't you. And you're just assuming it's because of your bold. Think about the arrogance, the conceit, the entitlement, and the ego. And I'm trying to say this in a nice way, but think about the ego that you must have and the arrogance you must have to think that if any woman ever rejects you, it's because you're bold. And it's got nothing to do with her. And in fact, her preferences don't matter. You're going to take it personally. Again, she might just be having a bad fucking day. And you asked her out for a drink and she's like, no, I'm having a bad fucking day. I don't feel like going for a drink with anyone. And you're like, oh my God, my heart, I got rejected. No, you didn't. She doesn't want to fucking go on a date with you. She might not want to go on a date with anyone at that point in time. And so when you focus so much on yourself and you see it as like a rejection of you, you will take everything as a rejection. She might say, oh, thank you so much. No, I have a boyfriend. And you're like, oh my God, she rejected me because I'm bold. Or she might say like, oh, actually, I'm not really looking to date anyone right now. Thank you though. That's really nice of you. And you're like, oh my God, she rejected me. It's probably because I'm bold. You'll take everything personally when most of the time in the dating market or the dating landscape, the dating arena, the dating scene, it's not personal. When you turn people down, when you don't want to sleep with someone, half the time it's not personal. You're just not in the mood. Or maybe you already have a girlfriend or someone else, or you're busy, or you're studying, or work is just stressing you out. Or, you feel like you just make a quick like value judgment immediately. You go like, no, thank you. Like you're not rejecting her. You're not thinking she's a bad person or that she's invalid or she shouldn't find love or something. You're just not interested in that moment. So don't take it so personally. So I'll keep reading with some of what he said. I look much better with hair than I do without. Like, if that's true, and that might be true, that might not, like, that's not up to you. And I don't trust this guy's opinion. This is already someone, if you're insecure about being bald, you're not going to be objective. You're not. But fine, let's assume that he does look better with hair than without. Do you have hair right now? No. Then what is even the point of saying, I wish that reality was different? I wish I could just have hair. It's like, well, you can't, so move on. Like sitting there getting angry at reality only makes you feel hopeless, helpless, unempowered, weak, like a victim. It's the opposite of one of my key philosophies that I teach, you guys over on my other channel if you're not familiar with that. But one of the core tenets that I teach is stoicism. And if you're not familiar with stoicism, I think the best way I can sum up stoicism is loving reality, loving the way things are, like embracing it and just saying, hey, this is what it is. The sun is hot, or it's a cloudy day, so it's going to be dark, or it's raining today, so it might be a little cold outside, and just going like, yep, that it is what it is, rather than, fuck, the weather is so bad, man, I hate when it's rainy. Oh, it sucks. It's so cold. Like, I hate the cold. Don't fight reality. Don't sit there and get upset when reality is the way that it is. Reality is going to do whatever it wants. It doesn't give a fuck what you have to say. The world is going to operate the way the world wants to operate. It does not give a shit what you think about that. Other people are going to do what they want to do. They don't give a fuck what you have to say about it. And so your head, your body wants to be bald. Your body is, but my body wants to be bald. My hairline receded when I was like 23, maybe 20, earlier than that even. By the time I was like mid-20s to late 20s, it was just like horror, like it was really fucking receded. And so I could have sat there and said, this isn't fair. And I did do that for a while. I did sit there and go, this isn't fair. Other guys have beautiful hair. And I would look at other people's hair and I'd literally get jealous and I'd fantasize, how wonderful would my life be if I had hair? And I fought against reality. And at some point, I just had to wake up and say, you know what? The reality is I don't have a good hairline. Let me shave it all off. And that was really difficult for me. I'm not saying any of this is easier. I hope this doesn't come across as me being sort of cold and uncaring. That's not at all my intention. But I'm trying to get you to fall in love with reality, to at least embrace reality and say, hey, I'm bored. Sweet. Let me see if there's a way that I can just be okay with that. Let me see if there's a way I can love that. Let me see if I can just wake up in the morning and say, hey, I'm bored. Sweet. It is what it is. I'm bored. Some dudes have hair. They probably look better than me. I probably would look better with hair. I don't have hair. Cool. Sweet. What am I going to have for breakfast? That's stoicism. It's embracing reality. It's saying the way that things are, reality is going to do what it's going to do. And you have two options. You can either fix it, like adapt, find a solution, figure out what you're going to do, or you can just fucking embrace it and move on. Both of those are valid options. And here, you could get a hair transplant. I don't know this guy's situation. I don't know how bad, how receding his hairline is. I don't know any of that stuff, but that's an option for a lot of you. I'm not saying you have to shave and be completely bald, but embrace it. Do something to solve it. It sounds like he already kind of has done that by shaving it off. Great. That's a brilliant fucking step. But then the next step is you say, great, now I'm shaved. For the rest of my life, I'm going to have a bald head. Cool. What do I want for breakfast? What am I going to do today? How do I go out into the world and make an impact on the world? And it's not by sitting there and feeling angry at reality or cursing the heavens and saying, curse you heavens, fuck you God, fuck you universe. Why did you have to make me bald? It's because you're just bald. What do you mean? Why are some people short? Why do some people have, like me, ginger hair? Why am I a ginger? I got bullied relentlessly in school, and I've had plenty of women turn me down and say, hey, I don't really date. I don't even know why, but I'm not going to date you because you're ginger. I say plenty. There hasn't been a lot. There's been maybe 10 women ever, right? But the point is that happens. People will turn you down for being bald. I've had women say sorry, I don't date bald guys. And it's cool, okay. Again, there are preferences that everybody has. You will have some women that you don't date. I'm sure, lots of us, I don't date women that are overweight. It's just not attractive to me. No, I don't think they're a bad person. I wouldn't say that they're lazy. I don't give any sort of value judgments. I used to in the past, but I've moved past that. At this point, I'm just hey, I'm not super attracted. I don't reject them. I want them to go out and find happiness. I hope they find someone that finds them very attractive. I know that they will eventually. I want them to go out and have a great fucking life. I'm not sitting there rejecting them. I'm just not interested. And so if you've ever turned down anyone, then you have to be okay with the fact that other people might turn you down. And it might be because you're bald. They might say, hey, you're bald. I don't want that. The thing is, there are so many more fish in the sea. The dating landscape isn't about you making every single person like you. No, that will never be the case. And I think sometimes people do this thing. It sounds like this guy has sort of done this, where they go, I'm going to get rejected for being bald. How can I fix that? How can I wish there was a way that women would just never reject me for being bald. It's mate, if they didn't reject you for being bald, if you just had great hair, they'd reject you for something else. It's not even a rejection. They wouldn't sleep with you or they wouldn't date you for some other reason. Again, people have preferences. We've all turned down people for a million different reasons. Sometimes it's just because we're not in the mood. And if we were in a better mood, maybe we would have actually gone on a date. We were just feeling lazy and tired that week, or you're feeling sick, or you just can't be bothered, or you're stressed with work, or you're busy with university exams or something. We all turn people down. It's not even a rejection. It's just, hey, no thank you. That's it. And so if you've ever turned anyone down, you have to be okay with the fact that people will turn you down. And if it's not for being bored, it will be for something else. And so the focus and the obsession with the bold thing, which this guy goes, I'll keep reading, but this guy goes on to say that he wouldn't even care if a woman rejected him for something else, but the bold thing is somehow worse. It's you've just randomly, arbitrarily picked one thing and said, if a woman ever turns me down because of my bald head, then that's the worst thing in the world. But if she turns me down because I'm short, or because, she doesn't like my face, or because she doesn't like my confidence or any of this, that's okay. But it's not the bold thing. It's why? You've just picked a random fucking thing and said, no woman can ever reject me for this. It's they're going to. Some of them won't like that you're bald. That's okay. So embrace it. Love reality. Love the fact that some women won't like that you're bald. It is what it is. You don't like that some women are fat, or you might not like that some women are too tall, or that some women are, brunette. Whatever it is, we all have preferences. That's part of what makes, dating so interesting. It's part of what makes the human species so fucking beautiful, is that we all have preferences. We're not all the same. We're not all a carbon copy paste of each other. That's what makes us interesting. So to obsess about the bold thing is just picking one random thing and saying, this is the thing that I'm going to get upset about. And it's like, why? Why that? Why don't you get upset if a woman ever rejects you for anything else? So I will keep reading. I think the baldness has significantly lowered my value in the sexual marketplace. So he means he feels like his baldness has made him less attractive. Even if that's true, I don't believe that's true. But even if it is true, make up for it. Go to the gym. Wear better clothes, make up for it. This isn't like you just throw in the towel because you think you're less attractive now. And to be honest, the thing that women are going to find the least attractive is not the fact that you're bald. I'm bald, and I wear it with confidence. I have for the last 7 or so years. It's been 7 years? I don't know, maybe 5 years or something like that. I don't think it's been that long, actually. Fuck, what am I talking about? I think it's only been 3.5 years. Yeah, 3.5 years, about 3.5 years. What the fuck was I talking about? I shaved it about 3.5 years ago. So I wear it with confidence. And the thing that is unattractive, or one of the things that is really unattractive to women, to anyone, is hating yourself. That's not very attractive, is it? If you met a woman and you were like, oh, I like this woman, she's really cool. And just all the time she's like, man, I'm so ugly. Why would you want to be with someone like me? You're probably going to reject me. I'm just really ugly. I'm so gross. Why would anyone be with me? It's like, you might put up with that for a little bit. But if that's at the core of if her personality, which this guy's personality kind of is wrapped around him being bald, or his concerns are wrapped around him being bald. If you met a woman whose personality or her biggest fear was I'm just going to get rejected because I'm ugly. It's that's not attractive. At some point, you just go oh man, why are you just constantly feeling sorry for yourself? You're not fun to be around. She's not going to give you anything because she's in a place of pain and suffering and hurt and insecurity and fear and terror and, pain. And in that place, it's hard to be a good lover. It's hard to be a good partner. It's hard to be a good friend. It's hard to give anything. When you're hurting, you don't really care about other people, do you? It's hard to be selfless. It's hard to be a giving, honest, vulnerable, entertaining, interesting, funny, cool, happy person. You're just not as fun to be around. And so it's not so much that your baldness has lowered your value in the sexual marketplace. It might have a little bit, so make up for it. I don't believe that it has, but it might have. I don't know you. You might have looked better with hair. That might be a reality. You can make up for that with a million other things, but it's the lack of confidence. And more to the point, it's the self-hatred that you have. I'm sure this guy and everyone who has a fear of some part of their body, they have the worst self-esteem ever. They will say the most evil fucking shit to themselves, horrible shit, you're ugly, you don't deserve love, no woman would ever love you, no woman would ever like you. That's literally evil. If you were to go and say that to someone else, would you say that to your best friend? Would you talk to your best friend like that? Would you say to anyone else, you're ugly, you don't deserve any love, you don't deserve sex, you don't deserve affection, you don't deserve the opposite gender to like you, you're never going to make it. Would you say that? No, that's fucking evil. You would never say those words out loud to anyone else. But when we have a fear or an insecurity about ourselves or some part of our body, we can say some of the most evil, vile stuff to ourselves, and it goes unchecked because you say it in your head. You don't say it out loud. Nobody hears you say it. So you believe it. You internalize it. You start to tell yourself that it's true. You tell yourself a story of, yes, I don't have a symmetrical face and good head shape. Therefore, I can't look good bald. And the baldness has significantly lowered my value in the sexual marketplace. And, I look older because of this. I'm ostracized from the rest of the people in my age group. I'm all alone. This isn't good for my self-esteem. You're telling yourself all these stories that are just that. They're just stories that you tell yourself. They're narratives. They're limiting beliefs. They're not even true. But you tell yourself them so many times over and over and over in your head. You have these insecurities that you just keep repeating to yourself. And at some point you start to believe them. That's how this guy who has no dating experience can sit there and say, or very little dating experience, I would assume, can sit there and say, to look good bald, I know it's absolutely true that you need to have a symmetrical square face and good head shape. It's you don't know anything. I know absolutely that it's true that, the baldness has reduced my value in the marketplace. And to be fair, he doesn't say I know. He says, I think, so fine. But the previous statement, he said, to look good bald, you need to have a blah, blah, blah. He just believes that. He literally thinks that's true. He's saying it as if it's a fucking fact. And so what you want to do when you have these sort of insecurities that you've built up over a long period of time, you want to question them. You want to sit down in front of the mirror, look into your own eyes in the mirror, because it's very easy to be honest with yourself, or it forces you to be honest with yourself if you have to look straight into your own eyes in the mirror. Look in the mirror and say, can I absolutely know that it is true that the only way you would ever look good bald is if you had a symmetrical square face and a good head shape? Can I absolutely know that's true? Without a doubt, can I know that for a fact? And if you're looking in your own eyes, the doubts will start to come up and you go, whoa, okay, fine. I can't know that that's absolutely true. I think it's true. I'm pretty sure it's true, but fine. I can't 100% know it's true. Great. Now we can start getting in there. The doubts have started to manifest, and that's a good thing. We can start hacking away and breaking apart some of these limiting beliefs that you think are a truth that aren't necessarily true. You don't know if they're true. There are a million other ways to look good bald. I look pretty fucking good bald. I don't have a square face. Is this square? This isn't square. How's this square? I don't think I have a great fucking head shape, but I look decent enough because I've put on a beard. If you saw me without the beard, maybe I can shave it at some point to make a point. When I don't have this facial hair like this, and this is perfectly like carefully shaped. I have it exactly the right length. I have it exactly the right shape. So it gives me like a nice like jawline. It looks like it gives me a shape, like a shape to my jawline. If I don't have hair, I look like fucking shit. My face looks like shit. It looks like a big fucking round marshmallow. And so there are ways that do not involve a symmetrical square face and a good head shape. There are ways to look good. Adding muscle makes you look fucking amazing. If you have a big, elite, muscular body, women don't really care what your face looks like. They don't. Like, I don't care. You just have an amazing body. Please dick me down, sir. Please throw me against the wall and just, take me like a fucking ape. I literally don't care what your face looks like. So to obsess about that and then to say it's the truth, it's only because you've repeated it to yourself enough times that you now believe it. You want to get in there and start questioning it and saying, is this actually true? So he goes on to say, it's made me feel ostracized from the rest of the people in my age group. No, you have done that. You have cut yourself off. You have said, I'm bald, therefore I can't relate to the people in my age group. You've done that. The other people haven't ostracized you. In fact, most people don't want you to feel ostracized. Most people are welcoming and lovely, aren't they? We all kind of know that's true. Most people don't want you to feel alone, just like you don't want most other people to feel alone. You have cut yourself off from them. You have drawn a line in the sand and said, they all have hair. I'm a bald freak who looks older than I should. So therefore, I'm separate from them. No, you've decided to just fucking draw that line in the sand and push yourself away from them. They're all waiting for you to hang out with them. And so that's one answer that I would give you. I'd say reach out to all your friends. Go and make some friends. It sounds like you don't have a strong friendship group. Otherwise, I think they would. And maybe you do, you just haven't opened up to them. But you want to build a strong friendship group if you don't have one and open up and say, guys, I feel really insecure about this shit. Can you help me? On my main blog, so again, if you guys don't know, I have a separate channel. I have a separate blog, separate channel it's called Kill Your Inner Loser. And I wrote an entire article on how to make friends. So I'm going to share that on the screen now. Let me set that up. It might take a second to set that up. But I have a full-on article on how to make friends. Here you go. You guys can see that, can't you? Yeah, you can. So go to my website. Go to killyourinnerloser.com and just search for friends. I have a full-on guide, a really long, really crazy detailed guide on how to literally make friends, how to find people who will be a strong influence in your life, who have your back. I've got a bunch of different ways. I've literally laid it all out there for you. And I've given this to so many of my coaching clients and helped them with this shit. So, it's a lot easier to make friends than you think. Let me get rid of that. There we go. But make some friends, make some positive male influence, some positive male influences in your life, positive female influences as well. But you got to get some friends in there and not ostracize yourself. You have done that. When you go on to say it's not good for self-esteem, you've told yourself that it's not good for self-esteem. The shit that you have said to yourself about being bald is what's not good for your self-esteem, not the baldness itself. I am bald and my self-esteem is very high. What is the difference? You'll probably come up with some inventions, like you'll say, oh, but you have a better face than me, or, you're just lucky, or you're tall, or you're this. You'll invent some reasons, but the actual truth of the matter is I never let my bald head, once I shaved it, I had low self-esteem about my receding hairline, but once I shaved it, I said, okay, I can't use this as an excuse anymore. I can't use this to beat myself up. I can't look in the mirror anymore and tell myself that I'm ugly and that my hair sucks and that no women will love me. I can't do that anymore. I've got to just build my self-esteem up now. And so I use my bald head as a positive for my self-esteem. I tell myself I look good bald. And if any woman ever said, no, you don't, I'd say, hey, okay, that's your preference. Like, all the best. Like, go away. And I'd say that in a nice way. I'd just say, hey, like, doesn't seem like you're interested in me. That's cool. If some woman thought that I looked ugly bald, I'd say, like, hey, that's fair enough. Like, you don't have to like me. That's your opinion. I respect it. Yeah. But I would then go and find the women that like that I'm bald. And plenty of women do. Plenty of women have told me, I like that you're bald. I like the way it feels. Women love to fucking do this to your head and see how it feels. Women love to tell you, like, oh my God, like, you look really sexy. You look like Jason Statham. You look like, The Rock. Not that I fucking look like The Rock, but there are plenty of guys with bald heads. I've talked about that in previous videos, so I won't drill that point home. Let's move on a little bit. So I have to go in about 20 minutes, so I will start sort of wrapping this up. But I hope this has been helpful so far to some of you. So he goes on to say, I know I can compensate by building muscle. Yes, boom. See, so you fucking get it. Growing a beard, wearing good clothes, etc. Yep. And then the magical word, but. Why would you stick a but in there? Just don't stick the but in there. You know what I mean? Just go like, I know I can look better. I can grow a beard, I can build muscle, I can wear good clothes, I can lose weight so you're leaner, I could work on my confidence, all of that stuff. But this is something that will always bother me. Yep, it will now because you've said this will always bother you. So if you ever get to a point where you forget about the fact that you're bald, you'll remind yourself, you go, oh no, fuck no, I said this would always bother me, fuck, okay, yeah, I got to make it bother me again. You're hanging on to it. You're telling yourself. There's something called a self-fulfilling prophecy, which is where you tell yourself something and then it comes true because you make it come true. Guys, I want you to run an experiment. I want you to go out today and I want you to tell yourself, give yourself a little pep talk before you go out today for about 10 minutes. Sit there and say, today is going to suck. Today is going to be the worst day ever. Today's going to be fucking awful. Everything's going to piss me off. Everything's going to bother me. Other people are going to bother me. I'm just not going to have a good day. Give yourself a 10-minute pep talk of that and then go outside. And then I want you to, maybe halfway through the day or maybe the next day, give yourself a pep talk, but be positive. And so say, today is going to be perfect. It's going to be amazing. If something comes up that's like a roadblock or something that would normally annoy me, you know what? It's going to be like water off a duck's back. I'm just not going to care. I'm going to be chill. I'm going to be zen. I'm just going to be like, I'm just going to meditate. I'm not going to give a fuck. I'm going to be so happy. Everyone I see, I'm going to smile at. I'm going to be grateful for them. I'm going to just thank, the universe that I'm alive. It's just going to be the best day ever. I'm going to have the best day ever. And I want you to do that on the second day. And I want you to compare those 2 days and tell me what happens. Tell me how you feel. Tell me like how other people react to you. Tell me your headspace. Tell me if people are nice to you or if they're not. Tell me how many bad things happen to you on both of those days side by side. And what you see is, and this is like common fucking sense when you think about it, but for some reason people, it can be harder to realize we're doing this. People will get into these or fall into these traps where they'll tell themselves a story, a negative story, which is what this guy's doing. My baldness, this is something that will always bother me. Like you tell yourself that story, yes, then it will bother you. The same way as if you said, today's going to suck, and then you go outside. Yeah, the day will suck. It'll be a shit day. It'll be an awful fucking day. You'll have a terrible fucking day. Versus if you tell yourself, I'm going to have a great day. And so you want to switch stuff like this around, turn it around, literally reframe it or flip it or say it in a better way, a positive way. Rather than this is something that will always bother me, just tell the truth. You don't know that this will always bother you. How the fuck could you know that? You are so utterly arrogant, and I mean this in a nice way, arrogant. You literally think you can predict the fucking future. You must think you're fucking God or you're the universe or you're something. If you think you can predict the future, do you have a crystal ball you haven't told the rest of us about? This is something that will always bother me. So when you're 80, you're not going to get over this. And you know that for a fact right now. I'm a betting man. I would bet you $1 million this is something that doesn't always bother you. The way that I know that is because people cannot hold on to something that bothers them for their entire life. People are by default, the word isn't lazy, but like complacent. We settle into complacency. How many people do you know that get up in arms about some issue? They're like, I'm an environmentalist, or I'm a vegan, or I care about COVID and lockdowns, and we all got to wear a mask forever, and we got to stay inside, we got to do the right thing, and we got to be fucking quadruple vaccinated and all of this. And, regardless of your thoughts on any of that shit, everyone who's sort of getting all up in arms, they all don't care anymore, do they? Thank fucking God they don't care, but they don't care anymore. They've dropped all those issues. They've stopped giving a fuck. 2 years ago, that was the most important thing in most people's lives. They're like, you got to wear a mask, you got to do all this shit. Now they don't give a fuck. You say to that person like, oh, I thought you said we had to wear a mask all the time. They're like, whatever, I don't give a fuck, like whatever. And so if you think that this will always bother you, no, at some point you just won't give a fuck anymore. You won't. Do you really think as a 60-year-old man, you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm so insecure about my body, when the rest of your body has started to sort of like age and, you've got wrinkles and you're less mobile and you're less strong and all of that? Do you think you're going to be insecure about your bald head, or do you think you're going to get over it? So to tell yourself this is something that will always bother me, oh my fucking God, you must think that you have a crystal ball. No, it won't. I understand that you're just saying a very emotionally based statement, that you aren't thinking rationally. And that's my point here. That's what I'm trying to get you guys to realize, is sometimes we get very caught up in the moment and the emotion. We don't take a step back and be a little more rational, a little more stoic, a little more logical. This isn't something that will always bother you. It's up to you how long it bothers you for. And maybe another helpful thing to think about is, if it's not something that will always bother you, because it won't. As an 80-year-old man, you're not going to care about this. You can't possibly care until you're 80. You don't have the perseverance to care for that long. You don't have the energy. Human beings just don't care about things for that long. They don't. The stuff that you cared about as an 18-year-old, you probably don't even give a fuck about now, even though you told yourself, I will always love this band. I'll always be in love with this woman. She's the one for me. It's like, no, bro, you don't care like several fucking months later, let alone the rest of your entire life. So if you can accept the premise that at some point you won't care as much about the fact that you're bald, you might be a tiny bit insecure, but you won't care this much, then there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is hope for you. At some point you won't care about being bald. That should give you a little bit of comfort. Fuck, man, there'll be a day where I don't care as much about this. That's kind of nice. Shit, man. Imagine how freeing that would be. I could wake up one day and just not really care that I'm bald. Maybe one day I'd even like myself. Maybe I'd even say, hey, I'm bald. Hey, you beautiful bald bastard. Like, man, that'd kind of be really nice. And start feeling that. And when you embrace that and understand and sort of admit that, yeah, there will be one day where you don't care that much about this, you can help speed that up. You can say, if there's going to be one day where I don't care about this as much, could that day be now? Maybe not now. Maybe I'm still deeply insecure, but like, okay, could that day be 2 years from now? Could 2 years from now, could I be at a point where I don't care as much? Maybe. What would I have to do to get to that point? Maybe I'd need some counseling, and that's an option. I offer coaching, but maybe this guy needs actual counseling, or, to like really sit down and get in there really deep. Maybe you just need to make a bunch of friends. Here's my solution. You need to throw yourself into the dating market and give yourself permission to be nervous, to suck, to be insecure. You're probably going to feel all those things. That's okay. Most of us feel that at the start. But get out there. Put yourself out there. Show yourself that most women won't really care that you're bald. If they do care, you're not even going to spend any time with them. If they don't like that you're bald, they won't even talk to you. They won't match with you on Tinder. You'll talk to them in a bar and they'll just politely say like, oh, thank you, but I have a boyfriend, and then you'll leave. Like, they will automatically filter themselves out, or they'll filter you out. So it's not even an issue. Anyone that you're going to end up talking to is already okay with the fact that you're bald. It's very fucking obvious. Look, can you avoid this? As long as you're not wearing hats all the time, and don't do that. I'm a big advocate of honesty and just showing off the fact that you're bald. Like, show yourself. Don't catfish and wear a hat. But, the women that don't like that you're bald, you won't even meet them. You won't even know that they don't like you, because they won't even talk to you in the first place. The same way that if you don't like a woman that's morbidly obese or something, she doesn't even know that you don't like her. You just never match with her on Tinder, or you never talk to her in a bar, or you never say hello to her in a coffee shop, unless you're just being friendly, but you never hit on her. So she doesn't even know that you don't like her. Why would she ever know that? You don't go up and fucking tell her, because it's not a very nice thing to do. And women that don't like bald guys will never tell you. So you'll never know. So this big fear of yours is never even going to become a reality. It's not. So, the idea that this will always bother you, no, it doesn't have to. You can work towards, working on yourself, putting yourself out in the dating market and showing yourself that plenty of women will like it. You've got to work through this fear, but there is a day you will get to. Absolutely. Everybody does. Even without working on it, you'll just get to a day where you can't be bothered caring anymore. But you can speed that up by working on your self-esteem, by having some hobbies and things you care about outside of dating, by not putting your entire self-esteem, I haven't even talked about that, not putting your entire self-esteem on what someone else might think about you. You've basically wrapped up your self-esteem in whether or not a woman will reject you or not. It's not very healthy. You want to have self-esteem in yourself. You want to love yourself before you try and get other people to love you. You want to be a whole person before you get someone else. You know what I mean? So I will keep reading. The fact that most men my age have great hair, a very important part in a person's appearance, and I don't. So there you go. So that's another statement that is just, you've said it as if it's truth, and it's not. A very important part in a person's appearance is their hair. No, it's not. It's fucking not. You've just decided that it is, based on no evidence whatsoever other than your own lies that you've told yourself or your stories that you've told yourself and you've believed, but you've never questioned it. So sit in front of the mirror again. Any of you listening who find yourself in the same position or the same insecurities, sit in front of the mirror and say, is it true that that it's such an important part of someone's appearance that they have hair? If that's true, how could any bald man ever get any woman ever? How would that ever happen if it's such an important part? Or if it is important, if I still do believe that it's an important part in a person's appearance, which maybe you still believe that, important isn't everything. You've said it's a part of a person's appearance. That must mean there's other parts. So accepting that I don't have hair, that I don't have this important part of an appearance, what other important parts can I? Muscle is an important part, especially for men. Being lean, like not being fat, is an important part. Dressing well, grooming yourself, having nice hygiene, smelling good, wearing cologne, being an interesting human being, being a nice person, a decent human being, a decent person. A sense of humor. You don't have to be fucking hilarious, but just even having the ability to smile when something funny happens. You don't have to tell jokes. Half of having a sense of humor, or most of having a sense of humor, is just being able to smile at things. You see a baby that's doing something funny and you smile. That's a sense of humor. So don't think that you have to tell jokes or you have to be a comedian. No, you just have to be able to smile at life. Someone says something funny and you laugh. Like, that's a sense of humor. So all of these other things are also important parts, or they're parts of someone's attractiveness and their appearance. Like, work on those things. If you don't have the hair, fine, accept you don't have it. But to sit there and get upset that you don't, and to argue and to be miserable and to hate yourself and to hate the world and hate reality and hate women. And I know this guy doesn't hate women, but to get mad that some women have a preference, like, you're just arguing with reality. And you will, if you argue with reality, you lose 100% of the time. Reality is always going to do what it's going to do. And if you sit there and hate it, you just lose. You lose. You're literally losing. You can't change reality. Like, the fact is, or sometimes you can, sure. So change it. If you can fix your hair, change it. Like, if you can grow hair, change it. If you can get a hair transplant, change it. If you can do something, change it. But if you can't, then the reality is you can't. If you try and it doesn't work, then you can't. And so accept it. So it goes on to say, I've actually developed a fear of being rejected specifically because of the boldness. Yeah, so he's just picked a random thing. And a lot of guys do this. They'll do it with their height, or they will do it with their ethnicity. I've worked with tons of like Asian and Indian clients that go, oh my God, I'm Indian and everyone hates Indians. And it's like, no, some women won't like you because you're Indian, sure. Or some women won't like you because you're short, sure. But I've worked with enough clients. I have... Probably my best example is a guy who's 5'6", and I did an interview with him. So you can search my channel. Go to Kill Your Inner Loser. Just search on YouTube. Kill Your Inner Loser, Ed. The guy's name is Ed. We did a 2-part interview with him, and he's super short. And so what's his solution? Rather than sitting there and going, oh my God, I'm going to get rejected because I'm short. It's like, yeah, some women won't sleep with you or won't date you because you're short. Sure. But his solution is like, well, I just need to max myself out or build myself up in all the other areas. I need to be a confident person. I'm not right now. I'm terrified. He was 31. He was a virgin when he first came to me for coaching. So not a confident human being. Really didn't like himself in terms of his dating and his appearance and all of that kind of stuff. But I just got him to build himself up, and I taught him how to build himself up in all the other areas of his life. He started going to the gym, which he'd never really done before. He lost weight so that he, looked really good. He dressed a million times better. His fashion sense was not very good at the start, which, hey, most of ours isn't. Mine wasn't. He put himself out there and he went to support groups, essentially like counseling, to work on his self-esteem. He was very honest with women, and he told them, like, look, I got a lot of self-esteem issues. I'm not super confident. I'm a virgin. I'm 31. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm worried about being short. He had erectile dysfunction as well on top of that, like really bad erectile dysfunction, like literally his dick wouldn't work. So he had all these things, but he just embraced them, and he learned to love reality. He's like, hey, my dick doesn't work. Cool. Like, do I sit there and hate it? Do I go like, this isn't fair, curse the heavens, why does my dick not work? I've got a beautiful woman in my bed and my dick is soft. It's like, no, he's just like, hey, my dick is soft because I'm nervous and I have erectile dysfunction, but like, we'll try some other stuff. We'll still have fun. And he embraced reality. And when you do that, you can put yourself in this place where you're happy because, hey, I'm bald, fuck it. Why do I have to be miserable about it? And I've worked with tons of clients who, the same thing. I get them to embrace reality, to be a bit more stoic, to just say, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm bald. Fuck it. Or I'm short, or I'm this, or I'm that. But, if you develop this fear around being rejected because of your baldness, like, you're just not putting yourself out in the dating market. You're not going to be a happy camper. You're not going to be a happy human being. You have less to give. And so you'll get worse results. You'll hold yourself back. It sounds like he's already sort of doing that with friends. He says, I'm ostracized from people in my age group. You've ostracized yourself. You're going to do the same thing with women. You're going to go, oh my God, they don't like bald guys. So therefore I'm going to keep them at arm's length because I don't want them to reject me because you've built this big fear of being rejected for it. So therefore, like, I can't ever get close to any, I can't ever be honest. I can't be vulnerable. Why should I even ask any of them out? Why should I even bother going on a date? And then you won't get any fucking results because women are sitting there going, hey, I'd love to date you. And you're just like, no, you wouldn't. You wouldn't like to date me because I'm bald. And she's like, I don't care. And you're like, no, like, there's no use, pretty woman, like, you'll never like me. And she's like, but I like bald guys. And you're just like, no, it's not true. Like, you're just going to reject me. And she's like, okay, well, I guess I'll leave then. And then you're like, see, you've left. They all leave. So you get the very thing that you're afraid of. You will engineer a situation in which, yes, every woman they won't reject you, but they'll leave because you're rejecting yourself. And I say this all the time. It's one of my favorite fucking things that I say to people. Don't reject yourself. Let women reject you. In other words, don't say no for them. Let them say no. So go up to a bunch of women and, talk to them, do whatever you're doing. Hey, you're really cute. I'm Andy. What are you up to? Talk for a bit. Do you want to grab a drink sometime? If she says no, she says no. But some of these women are going to say yes, but you're preemptively saying no for them. You're not even trying. You're saying, what's the point? She's just going to say no. So it's a no already. I may as well just not even try. Let her fucking say no. Don't put words in her mouth. God, we live in the age of fucking feminism and shit like this. You're essentially like putting words in women's mouth and saying, and that's essentially what you're doing here. You're saying women don't like bald guys. It's like, bro, I could pull the misogyny card right now. And I don't talk like that. I'm not like a big fucking feminist or something. I'm having a joke here, but like, bro, you're being a fucking misogynist if you're just like saying, like, I'm going to tell women what they like and what their preferences are. I'm just going to declare it. Women like guys with square faces. It's like, bro, have you asked every woman on the planet? No. Then why are you putting words in their fucking mouth? Why are you rejecting yourself for them? Like, bro, is it not like their body, their choice? Is it not like their mind, their choice? Do they not get to say like, oh, but I do like bald guys? Like, you're putting words in their mouth. You're rejecting yourself for them. You're speaking for them. You're mansplaining to them. God, this is fun. I'm enjoying this. Again, guys, I'm not a big fucking I'm not a feminist, but I love talking like this. This is funny to me. But like, yeah, you're putting words in these women's mouth. You're saying like, you're going to say no to me, so let me just say no first and save you the trouble. And like half the time she might have said yes. Half of these women are going to sleep with you. Again, I'm fucking bald. If you don't know, I have a girlfriend. We've been together for 4.5 years. We date and sleep with women together. We're in like a semi-open relationship. We have threesomes with other girls. At this point, I don't even know how many women we've been with. It's like 40 or 50 women at some point at this point. And I'm not saying that to sit there and jerk myself off and say, oh my God, I'm wonderful. The point is, look how many fucking women like me. I'm bald. None of them give a fuck. And the ones that do, they just won't talk to me. They won't even give me a chance. They won't meet me and my girlfriend. They'll just say, no, thank you, I'm not interested. And so you're sitting there and saying, women don't like bald guys. It's like, that's not true. That's literally untrue. And he goes on to say, in an alternate universe where I had hair, that same girl would have accepted me. It's like, we don't live in alternate universes. You can never know that. And that ties in with what I said before. If a woman was to say, no, thank you, I have a boyfriend, or like, hey, it was nice talking to you, but like, I don't want to go any further. You don't know if you'd had hair that she would have slept with you. Again, you are speaking for her. You're saying, I know that the only way that she would ever sleep with me is if I had hair. And I know the only way that a woman would ever turn me down is because I'm bald. No other reason. It's not my crippling low self-esteem. It's not my hatred for myself, which is not attractive. It's not the fact that I'm not vulnerable and I can't put myself out there and I'm too afraid to actually be, present during a date because I'm just terrified of what she might think of my head, and I'm living in my own head, and I'm not even asking her questions about herself or I'm not present with her. You can't be present with someone when you're so insecure and stuck in your own head. And again, I was there in the early days. I understand all of this. None of this is me just saying, just get over it, bro, just move on. This can take time. This fear that you've developed, that you've trained in yourself, and it is just a training, it's a habit. You've developed a habit of being terrified of your bald head and terrified of what women might say. That habit will take a little bit of time to break. You basically have to build a habit of not caring or showing yourself that nothing bad will happen. And that will take some vulnerability. It will be scary. I've been there. I understand. I've worked with enough clients who've been there too. So it will take some time. I'm not just ever going to say, just get over it, bro. Just come on, bro. You're being a pussy, bro. No, I understand. Trust me, I do. But you have to start building that habit now. And part of that means you have to put yourself out there into the dating market. You have to take some risks. Yes, some of these women might reject you. The question was, how do I get over the fear of being rejected for being bald? It's like by throwing yourself in there and making some mistakes and learning and having a few women not sleep with you and feeling that and working through it and showing yourself that nothing bad happens if a woman doesn't sleep with you. Nothing bad happens if a woman doesn't date you. The world doesn't fall apart. You have a lot of other things in your life. That's why I told you to write that list of 50 things about yourself. And any of you listening who are sort of in the same position as this guy, do the same thing. Please pause the video right now and write down 50 things about yourself that are likable. If you can't do more than 10, that's okay. That happens sometimes. Some of my coaching clients haven't been able to make it more than 10 things on their list. And so go to your friends and family and ask for some more. It's okay if it takes you a couple of weeks or a month to write the list, but come up with a list and show yourself that there are things that do not involve your bald head, that you have a life that's worth living, that there's some cool stuff going on in your life, and it's not all about this goddamn head. So he goes on to say, this is different from the regular fear of being rejected. If I had hair like everybody else and got rejected, that would not bother me as much. That's not true. I don't believe that. You would just invent some other reason to be bothered. As this baldness-specific rejection would bother me. I guess it's because when a person is born ugly, they accept themselves from the very start, so it doesn't bother them. However, in a case like mine, you were born a certain level of attractiveness, but then you drastically move down to a lower level of attractiveness, says you're just deciding that you're less attractive, because an integral part of your appearance was taken away from you. Okay, this is fucking great. There's so much here. This guy almost stumbles upon the answer himself. So he says, I wouldn't care if I was born ugly because I would have accepted myself from the very start and it wouldn't bother me. However, the only reason I care is because I haven't accepted it. That's it. That's the solution right there, brother. That's beautiful. You've said the solution yourself. The ugly person accepts, hey, I'm not that attractive. So let me work on my body. Let me work on my confidence. Let me be a great human being. Maybe I need more money. Maybe I need to be a more generous, giving person. Maybe I just need some other intrinsic qualities so that women look past my ugliness. It's acceptance. And so with that, that's the fucking wisdom. That's the answer right there, brother. Just move past it yourself and just go, hey, I accept that I'm not super, I accept that I'm bald. And maybe that means I'm less attractive now, which I don't agree with, but maybe I feel like I'm less attractive. How do I accept that? It might take some time. The ugly person doesn't just immediately accept it. It might take them a long time. Some ugly people never accept it. How fucking horrible an existence would that be if you never accept your own appearance? And so, that's the answer. Fall in love with your own appearance. Fall in love with the fact that you're bald. Just accept it and go, hey, I'll make up for it in other areas. And I still don't even accept that being bald makes you less attractive. But if you do, if you believe that, I know some of you in the comments will say that you believe that. Fair enough. Like, that's your opinion. Fair enough. This is just my opinion. We just disagree on that. But even if you're correct and you're less attractive as a bald dude, it's like make up for it in the other areas. There's a million other things that you have going for you. So he says, it's the fact that you knew you were more attractive 6 years ago than you are now, and there's nothing you can do about it. Boom. And therein lies the rub. You are not more attractive, in your own words, you're not more attractive than you were 6 years ago. That's a failure. And fair enough, maybe you didn't realize it, but the whole point of life, or one thing that we want to be doing so that we're spending our time wisely, is improving ourselves. And if you don't think you are more attractive to the opposite sex at 24 than you were at 18, you done fucked up, son. If you think women will be more into you as an 18-year-old than they are at 24, you fucked up, brother. And that's okay. That's fixable. Hey, that's fine. Some people do go backwards. But if you're, my God, man, at 24, you should be like 5 times more attractive to women than you were at 18. At 18, we're train wrecks. And no offense to any of you that are 18, I was a fucking mess of a human being at 18. Most of us are. We usually live at home with mummy and daddy do our washing and our laundry, and they make our dinners and they give us pocket money and they pay for our university. We're not a man. You're usually not a man at 18. There are exceptions to that. If you're an exception, please don't be insulted. But most of us at 18 are still children, right? You usually don't have a great body. You usually don't have any fucking self-confidence. You're just fresh out of high school and maybe you're going into university, so you don't fully understand the way the world works. You usually don't have a job. You usually don't have your own apartment or your own space. Most of the time you live at home with mummy and daddy, or you live on university or on college campus. You're not a super attractive person. You're not great with women. You usually don't have a lot of experience. By the time you're 24, if you've been working on yourself, you usually have more friends. You usually have more independence. You usually have a job, I would hope. You usually have more income. You're usually more stable. You understand yourself more. You're a happier, healthier human being. You're a little better off. You are more in tune with what it means to be a man. And so if you haven't been working on those things, that's okay. Hey, I was still a bit of a mess. I was a complete mess at 24. So I'm not saying like, oh my God, you fucked up. But if you're sitting there and saying, I was more attractive 6 years ago than I am now, man, you fucked up. And that's okay. Hey, I fucked up too. But we can work on that, brother. Like, we got to fix that starting now. Like, let's go hard, man. Like, go to the gym. By this guy's own admission, he hasn't gone to the gym, or he's not going to the gym. By his own admission, he doesn't have a beard, or it sounds like he doesn't groom himself. Like, work on that shit. You won't necessarily be good at it at the start. It took me a long time. I've been working on my self-improvement, my self-esteem, my body, my mind, all of that for the last 8 years at this point. Maybe longer than that. 8 years, really hard, really hard. Read some Stoicism, read some Marcus Aurelius, read Loving What Is by Byron Katie, one of my favorite books. It's a great Stoic book written by this really sweet old lady, but she's just brutally honest and very blunt and loves reality, loves logic and reason and all of that. So that book again is called Loving What Is by Byron Katie. Read that book, guys. Please read that book. Read some Marcus Aurelius, read some Epictetus, read some of the old Stoic philosophers, read a bit of David Goggins. Get yourself fired up like David Goggins. Read a little bit of Jocko Willink. Read Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. Great book that'll really help with this kind of mindset. And start throwing yourself into the arena of self-improvement. Start building yourself up. Go out and find some interesting hobbies. Fuck, I didn't even talk about that. At 18, you're usually not that interesting because you don't have a bunch of hobbies. You don't know who you are. You have some sports and hobbies and shit you do, but by 24, it's like you want to have a knowledge or a foundation of who you are and what you like. And if you don't have that, hey, that's okay. I didn't either at 24. I was a complete mess until about 29. I didn't really start getting my shit together until about 29. So it's okay. It's never too late. But the fact that you don't think you're more attractive as a 24-year-old man than you were as an 18-year-old child, oh man, that shows you, that's beautiful. I fucking love that because there's so much room for improvement. Think of all the room for growth you have now. You're sitting there worried about your body and your head and your baldness. man, think of all the fucking shit you can do to make yourself a more attractive human being to the opposite gender or to people in general, friends and all that sort of stuff. Oh man, you're in a beautiful position. I'm excited for you if this is where you're at. If you truly don't believe you're more attractive as a 24-year-old, oh man, like fucking, oh dude, the sky's the limit for you, brother. 24? Again, I didn't start getting my shit together until I was 29, and I'm 35 now, and I'm so fucking grateful for the last, like, you know, what's that, like, I'm 35. Did I say I'm 35 or did I say I'm 34? I'm 35. I hope I didn't misspeak. But the last like 6 or 7 years of self-improvement have gotten me to a beautiful place. Like I'm in an amazing place. And that's because I worked on myself for the last 7 or so years. So yeah, by the time you're 26, 27, you could just be an absolute god of a human being. You could be happy. You could have a bunch of friends. You could have women in your life. You could have a great body. You could have a great mind and spirit. Don't just work on your dating life. Don't just go out and get a bunch of sex and, you know, fuck a bunch of women. We're also here to work on our mind and to be happier and healthier and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, man, you're in a great position. So he finally goes on to say, my question is, how do you accept yourself in a situation like this? And how do you get over this specific type of rejection? Well, you know, I've answered that with this whole thing. On a deeper psychological level, or this is just pseudo-babble, he's just telling himself bullshit. That doesn't matter. The answer is everything else I've said. Like, don't worry about, like, confirming your fear. Women aren't going to reject you because you're bald. They'll just reject you for a million other reasons, and you'll just pretend that it's because you're bald, but don't worry about that. So how do you get over a thing like this and fix yourself? That's the final answer, the final line, sorry, and it's exactly what I said. You just throw yourself into the dating market. Throw yourself out there, talk to a bunch of women, get some practice, throw yourself into the social arena as well, meet people, make some friends. Again, I showed you on I'll put it back up on the screen in case you forgot. On my website, killyourinnerloser.com, just search for the word friends. I got this great article, How to Make Friends, big guide. Throw yourself in there and get started with that. And, put yourself out there. In terms of how to actually fix your appearance, I have a really long, I've called it a Tinder guide, like a guide for meeting women on Tinder, but it's more like a self-improvement guide. The first couple of chapters of this guide are about building yourself up, making yourself a more attractive human being, a more attractive man, improving your appearance, going to the gym, losing weight, dressing better, grooming, like all of that. And so I will leave a link in the description of this video to that article. So again, it's called the Tinder guide, but it's more like a self-improvement guide. And it's completely free. It's really fucking massive, really in depth. It's 130,000 words, so it's the length of about 5 books. I spent the better part of 6 months to a year putting this together. It's completely free. Go and read that. And the start of it, like I said, the first couple of chapters are about improving yourself as a man, physically, mentally as well, but especially physically. So I would start with that, guys. Improve yourself. If you're in the same position as this guy and you feel like, my boldness is getting in the way and I feel really insecure and low self-esteem, start with the Tinder guide. Go through that, improve yourself, hit the gym, lose a little bit of weight. Some of these things can be scary at the start. That's okay. I know that we're often resistant to change and we go, but I don't want to improve myself. It's like, trust me, the benefits are insane. Go check out my website. I have a lot of other stuff on there. I've got, some pictures and some videos of women that I've slept with, obviously with permission. We've done photo shoots. I do artsy nude, not quite pornographic, but artsy sort of nude. I guess some of them are pornographic, content and stuff like that, videos and pictures and stuff like that. I have a lot of fun with that stuff. The women have a lot of fun with that with me. I've had some women on my podcast as well over on my other channel, my Kill Your Inner Loser channel. So go check all that out. Got a ton of getting laid and relationship and dating and mental health and physical and, money and all that sort of advice over on there. So I'm going to do more content on this channel, this Bald Man Dating channel, in the coming days, weeks, and months. I hope this was helpful. I hope that I was relatively gentle. I was trying not to be too blunt, and I hope that it comes across as me understanding and empathetic, because I do. I empathize. I've been there. I was very insecure about my bald head when I first shaved it off, 3.5 years ago or whatever it was. There's another video on my channel here where I talk about that, but I get it. But I'm never going to let anyone sit there and feel that insecurity without calling you out on it. I want you guys to be happy. At the end of the day, that's what my other channel and what I'm going to make this channel, it's what I'm all about. Making people happy, letting you achieve, giving you permission to work on the goals that you want to work on, showing you what's possible, helping you get there. Because at the end of the day, I want all of you guys, and any women that might be listening as well, I want all of you guys and girls to be happy. I don't want you to sit there and make excuses or to reject people, before they reject you, or to say, no women will like me because I'm bold. That just isn't true, guys. It really isn't true. Again, you can go to my website, killyourinnerloser.com. I have plenty of proof of a lot of the sex that I've had. I write up a story on a lot of, I've written a story of a lot of the women that we've dated and slept with. Hell of a lot of fun. I'm grateful for all the memories that I've had with a lot of really nice, really fucking genuinely lovely, really attractive, really hot, just really sweet women that haven't given a fuck that I'm bold. Why would they care? It's such a small part of myself. And when you build it up into this big, scary thing, you use it as an excuse not to put yourself out there into the dating market. And you're holding back, because a lot of the women that you would end up with, a lot of the women that I've ended up with, one of my biggest core philosophies is to leave women better than you found them. It's something that I teach all of my coaching clients, and I have over on my other channel. Every woman that I date, or even if I just casually sleep with them a few times, I want them to be better off for the experience. I want them to, at the very least, have had a nice time and be glad that they met me. And maybe I teach them a little bit of BDSM. I'm very into BDSM, and maybe I mentor them a little bit. Like I said, I'm a mentor and a life coach. I would like them to be glad that they met me. And you're holding back. If you use your bald head as an excuse not to put yourself out there and meet some women, you're holding back good from the world, because you guys would change the lives in even just a little bit. You would improve the lives. You'd at least give some women a nice experience, and their life would be a little bit better off for having met you. All of you have something to give, and if you don't believe that you do, please do the exercise that I said, where you write down 50 things about yourself that are likable, and you'll see, oh shit, I have 50 things to offer women. 50 ways I can make their life a little bit better if they'll just, go on a couple of dates with me and have some fun with me. When you start to embrace that, you realize that you are holding back from the world. You're holding back from giving something to women. They're missing out. Obviously, not every woman wants what you're offering. I'm not saying that you're going to be God's gift to women. I don't think I'm that. I would never say that. But the women that do end up being with you, most of them, you'll leave them a little better than you found them. They'll be happy that they met you. You have stuff to offer them. You have stuff to give them. And their lives will be just a little bit more interesting, or a little bit better, a little bit cooler. Or they'll just be like, hey, I'm glad I met you. We had fun. It was nice to have met you. And so you're holding that back. You're withholding that when you tell yourself, they won't give me a chance because I'm bald. So I want you guys to stop holding back. If you're insecure about your bald head, just like I said, put yourself out into the dating market. Start with my Tinder guide. Is probably the best place to start. You don't have to use Tinder, but just use the self-improvement bit at the start. Even those of you who say, I hate online dating, I don't want to do that, fine. Just use the start of the Tinder guide where I talk about self-improvement, and then go out and meet some women. Go make some friends, go to bars, go to social events, however you want to meet some women, but stop holding yourself back, all right?